Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to another Tasty Tuesday with FCHS. Just making sure I'm doing this right because I am not very experienced with Facebook Lives. Yes, I think we're good. We're on. Today we are making banana bread. So we decided to go ahead with this recipe because it seems that there's so many people making banana breads out there. So we decided why not show a banana bread recipe, one that is My Plate approved and definitely delicious. So that's what we'll be making today. So for today's recipe, you will obviously need bananas. You'll preferably want them a little bit ripe. You want medium-sized bananas. These are a little bit on the large side. Very ripe, so the mushier the better. Definitely, you don't want them to be super soupy on the inside. You still want them to be somewhat firm. And then I've got this little guy just to kind of complete the recommended 3 that's in the recipe. This guy's a little bit on the green side, but it's okay. It'll make do. So for the rest of this recipe, I'll just read it out so that everyone that's viewing has it. I see that we have a couple of people on. Let's see who we have. Cannot see, but that's okay. Welcome. Hello. Okay, what else is going into our My Plate banana bread recipe? We've got 3 bananas. We have got 1 egg. So I've got an egg here. I put it in a bit of warm water just to bring it to room temperature. That'll help it incorporate a little bit better with the other ingredients. We have 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. So I'm just using an avocado oil. That's what I have on hand. You can use canola oil. Even olive oil works. I've definitely used olive oil in cake recipes and bread recipes, and that always works too. Recipe also calls for 1/3 cup of fat-free milk. I don't have any milk at home, so I used some evaporated milk. I always have evaporated milk just in case. I always make sure to have evaporated milk so I don't have to run out to the store in case I need it for something. I'm not a big milk drinker, but sometimes I do make recipes here and there that require milk, so I like to have it on hand. So for this, to make the 1/3 cup of milk, I just did about halfway, kind of like a 1-to-1 ratio of milk and water. So halfway I filled up with evaporated milk, and then the other half I filled up with water, and that'll give us the 1/3 cup milk. The recipe also calls for 1/3 cup of sugar, which we have here. So this is going to make an entire loaf, and it's actually not that much sugar. So if you're definitely looking to cut back on added sugars, this is not a recipe that's super heavy on the sugar, which is definitely a good thing. Recipe also calls for 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and then 1.5 cups of flour. So I have that all here on a plate. And then I added some cinnamon. The recipe doesn't actually call for cinnamon, but I decided to add in some cinnamon because I like the little specks all throughout the bread. I think it gives it a nice color too, so it definitely helps with the aesthetics of the bread, the presentation of the bread. This would be our baking powder. We've got our baking soda here, and then some salt. All right, so ingredients are out of the way. We'll make sure to post them somewhere on our page so that way everyone has them. If not, check out the My Plate website. You can go on choosemyplate.gov to find that recipe. Just type in banana bread. Okay, so before we start any of this, you always want to make sure that your oven is preheated to, you want to preheat your oven while you're making this. So my oven's already on because I'm baking another bread, which is about to be ready so that I can show you guys. So oven, you want to preheat it to 350, and then we usually start with the wet ingredients. So first thing we'll do is mash our bananas. So when I do this, I actually don't like to, and this will depend again on the type of bananas that you have, whether they're more on the firm side, more on the mushier side. I actually don't like to mash them too much because when you're folding in the other ingredients, you tend to lose some of the texture of the banana. It just kind of like melts away, and I like for there to be some chunks of bananas throughout. So that's our other bread that is ready. We will make sure to get it out of the oven. And bananas, that's gonna keep going off if I don't turn it off, so I will be right back. Bananas, what's so great about bananas and having bananas in your diet, especially if you're an athlete, is that they are a great source of carbohydrates. Easy fuel right there because they're pretty high in simple sugar, so your body will just fuel up right away. And they've also got potassium in them. So potassium is electrolyte, which is super important for, it helps with muscle cramping. It helps with your fluids, fluid retention and that kind of thing. But it also helps with blood pressure as well. So that's definitely a good thing to have. Definitely something that athletes need, especially now that people are, or even if you're not an athlete, if you're out and active in this hot weather, this weather that's getting warmer, then you'll definitely want to have some electrolytes in there. So I just kind of roughly chopped up my bananas. See, I'm not mashing them up too much. You'll see that I do have a greener banana in there, so I'll just make sure to mash that one up a little bit more, but I just kind of gently press them about in the bowl. And I think that's about all that I'm going to do. Some people prefer to make it into like a puree, but I'm not going to go that far. Again, this is up to, I think banana bread is one of those kind of recipes that's definitely forgiving if you're a first-time baker. And if it's your first foray into baking, banana bread is definitely a good way to start. Especially because it's so adaptable. You can add in different things. You can add in chocolate chips, which I have some here. And we'll be adding that into our recipe. You can add in some chocolate chips. You can add in walnuts, pecans, sunflower seeds, coconut flakes, peanut butter. You can top it with streusel. You can really do a lot of things with banana bread. So it's a nice recipe. So that's done. I'll pour in our milk. And let me see if there's any order to do this. Nope, not really. Usually you just want to just start with the wet. In goes our oil. Just kind of gently mixing them about without mashing the bananas a little bit too much. I just splashed myself. Okay, then we've got our egg. I'm just going to crack this egg open into another bowl, not directly into the recipe in case there's, some stuff in there, in case I got a shell in there. Makes it a little bit easier. We are all good, so that egg goes right in there. Okay, so add in egg, oil, milk, sugar, salt, baking soda, and baking powder. So I'm actually not going to do it that way. I'm just going to put in the sugar. And then what I'll do is I've got our cup and a half of flour. So I'm actually going to toss all of these dry add-ons, I guess, the baking powder, the salt, the baking soda, and the cinnamon right into the flour mixture. I'm going to dump it right into the flour and make like a little flour mixture here. Just kind of mix it in there a little bit. And for this recipe, I'm using all-purpose flour, but you can mix in some whole wheat if you want to add in some whole wheat flour into your recipe. That will affect the cooking of it. So you might want to start with not just straight wheat flour, mixing in a little bit of all-purpose just until you figure out the cooking times. And definitely don't be afraid to experiment. Okay, so here we've got our... Oh, hi, Julie. Welcome. So here we've got our banana sop. It smells terrific right now. So again, I've got some chunks of bananas here. I definitely want to keep those there. I don't want to mash them away. But as you continue folding ingredients in, you'll see that it just, they end up dissolving anyway. So then we'll add in our flour. Boom, boom, boom. Sugar's in there, flour's in there. Am I missing anything else? See, I'll tell you that when I'm baking, things usually don't go by as quickly because I don't measure everything out beforehand. I just kind of haphazardly put everything together. But it's definitely good to have everything measured out, and it just goes by so much quicker. Which is why people emphasize mise en place in the kitchen so much, just so that way you're more organized and things are less messy. And definitely more efficient and time saving. All right, so we are mixing that in, mixing. And again, you don't want to mix too much. I'm kind of going a little bit vigorously here, but you'll just kind of want to gently fold things about until there are no more dry spots. So that's good. I do not see any more dry spots here, so that's about done. So now that it'll look just about like this. Now you'll see some lumps. It's okay. Again, like I said, it's the banana that's in there. If you feel like there might be clumps of flour, you might want to sift it. That'll help ease any worries about clumps of flour, but I think we're pretty good here. I sifted our flour beforehand, so we should be fine. And now I'm just going to sprinkle in some chocolate chips, not the entire bag, although it would be pretty good with the entire bag, not gonna lie. I think that's a good amount. This is FCHS after all. We want to keep it healthy. All right, so we've got some chocolate chips here just to make it a little bit more interesting. Definitely you can add in some, like about a quarter cup of Greek yogurt or sour cream or even mayonnaise I've seen to make it a little bit creamier, a little bit more indulgent. It'll make it richer, I think, in texture. Buttercream, I think, also works, but again, you'll want to sort of play around with the ratio of wet ingredients to dry ingredients. This is more or less what the batter looks like. So this we'll put into a pan, or into a loaf pan. So here I've got a Pyrex, and I'm just going to butter this up. I've got this wrapper from Butter that still has bits of butter on it, so I'll just use this to kind of butter the pan, to just kind of use every last bit of butter. That way I don't have to open up a new package. Right. And usually people will just, use a paper towel and put some oil on that, but what I like about this is that it already has the butter on there, so you don't have to waste a paper towel either. All right, so that is nice and greased. And now we can pour in our batter. Just blocking my entire face with the pot, or with the bowl, I mean. There we go. Just want to evenly distribute it. Oh, we've got some nice chunks of bananas. That's gonna be so good. And with this, you'll definitely wanna try to use a silicone or rubber spatula of some kind, just because it'll make scraping the batter out easier. All right. And you go. So at this point you can, either stop here, just throw it right into the pan, or right into my words today, I'm struggling with the words today. You can throw it right into the oven. You can sprinkle it with some chopped pecans or walnuts. I do not have any, but that's usually my go-to. You can top it with some chocolate chips, which I think I might actually do that. They might burn a little bit on top, but I don't mind that too much. Coconut if you'd like, if you're a big fan of coconut. I saw a recipe online for peanut butter, like a peanut butter streusel, and that looked amazing. And again, it's another way to make this more indulgent. But this one we'll keep simple, just with the chocolate chips on top. So this will go into the oven, and I'll bring out the other loaf, which I'm hoping has not burned. No, it's good. So by the time you are finished, you should have something like so. Banana bread. So you'll definitely want to stick in a, that'll bake for about, let's see, here it says 45 minutes. If it's on the wetter side, it might take up until an hour. Definitely start checking it at the 45-minute mark, and then do a toothpick test. So if you stick in the toothpick and take it out and it comes out clean, then you're all set. This one I am fairly confident is ready. So usually I would suggest to let it chill at this point before cutting into it, but I am very impatient. So I'm going to cut into it right now so that you guys can see as well. And just a reminder, we have our food pantry spotlight. This week I believe it is the YMCA Little Food Pantry in Somerville. They've been doing some great work. They've collaborated with, I believe it's the Community Food Bank to distribute meal kits. So if you're interested in donating, or if you know anyone that's in need, definitely check out the free food pantry. I believe we do have a post related to their food pantry. And as always, check out the Somerset County website for other food pantry and food bank resources. So let's see, this is coming out nice and clean. And I'm just gonna use the same plate that I used. Ooh, yeah. You can see that steam too. I'll let the rest cool off. Give it a little taste. That's pretty good. Delicious. All right, so it's that easy. There's your banana bread. There is your banana bread. That is what it turns out like, and I hope you guys try it out at home and let me know how it goes. Feel free to comment, send your pictures. Bye. Take care.